Excited about this school year, and I know I say that every school year, how excited I am. But this year, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm like an 11. I'm like off the chart. And there's just so many exciting things that we're involved with, and that is happening in our state around public education. I think we're finally at a place that we're going to turn the corner and really make this work for kids. So I'm excited about that opportunity and being able to be involved with it. And I'm also thrilled to announce that for the first time since we've been keeping track of this data, we actually have more students coming into Lebanon than wanting to leave. Yes, that's right. We have officially become a destination district. So and I love being a part of that and seeing that and watching kids teaching other kids and giving presentations and creating things. Because really what this is all about is getting to higher levels of task for kids. And we know the answer isn't always to be at the highest level of analyzing, evaluating, and creating, but it's not always being at the lowest level either. It's really a cycle where we help kids to remember, to understand, and then we bring them to those higher levels. And what's great about the work that we design for kids is we can always control it. We can always design it in such a way that we can put better and better work in front of kids. And so much of our training has to do with trying to do this for our students. And one of the ways that we measure this is work samples. And I'm happy to report that for the third year in a row, we have more work samples than the previous year. And this year, almost 19,000. And you can see the different levels. And reading, we actually increased by, it went from 300 to over 1,100, almost 1,200. A little bit lower in speaking. I think some of our energy in these other areas may have contributed to that. In science, we did more. In writing, almost 1,000 more work samples. Look at that. We almost broke 7,000. That's great. And then in math, a little bit off from last year, but still making progress. Altogether, almost 19,000 work samples. And what is great about that is work samples are our best evidence of proficiency-based teaching and learning, which is where education is going. Now that every senior has to demonstrate proficiency in reading and writing this year, next year in math, this is key work. And as we give kids these opportunities, they will learn and grow more and more. So that's exciting stuff. So this morning we're going to talk about choosing to care. I even wore the shirt, right? Choose to care. And I want to thank you for caring. I want to thank you for caring enough to work for Lebanon Schools. And I want to thank you for giving your all to this great work. Today we're going to talk about some historical people that have cared down through the years and the difference they made. How education reform fits into this theme of caring. And then we're going to talk about some core values and how certain beliefs that we can have as an organization can help us to care and do great things for our students. I get accused of a lot of things. And one of the things I get accused of is spreading myself too thin, doing too much, seeming to be on a lot of tangents. And, you can paint me with that brush. I can wear that. But at the same time, I want you to know that really, we've got one thing we're working on. Why do we do all this? Why do we do this much work? I mean, these are all competitive. This is extra effort. Because we care. Because we choose to care. Because we know that if we don't innovate, if we don't try to figure out things that work, we're not going to get better as fast as we need to. Because every day, kids are in the balance. And the faster we can figure out how to improve and how to get better, the faster we can help meet their needs. Someone else, historical person, that really knew a lot about innovation was this character. These are the things we're shifting from. The last 20 years of reforms have led us from delivering content to assuring learning, from independent contracting to connected teams, from issuing grades to measuring proficiency, from course credits to career-related learning, from high school and work to college and/or careers, and this is my favorite, from school as a factory, which is a 100-year-old model we're trying to shift, to school as a place of thinking, leading, creativity, collaboration, and inspiration, where learning essential skills in reading, writing, and math must be demonstrated through common summative assessments. This is the direction that we're headed, and we all have to think different to achieve it. Well, fortunately, we've got someone that also thought different we can learn from. This guy right here, Albert Einstein. And, the ultimate nonconformist. Unify things that have traditionally been separate. And whether they're these things, which RTI is trying to unify, or whether there's these things, pre-K, elementary school, secondary, post-secondary, and career, it always traditionally existed in silos. So what if Oregon can learn? What if we can do things different? What would that look like? Well, for starters, what it would mean is that everyone's silo, we'd have to stop labeling it. And then we'd all have to shift in our thinking. We all would have to act a little bit different. Spend a little more time together. Ask ourselves hard questions. Decide what we're doing different. Make improvements. And if we do that, we could learn. We could become a one unified system. And that really was the intent of Senate Bill 909, which got passed a year ago and created the Oregon Education Investment Board, which is a super board over all of the others. And that's what we're trying to do. And that's what we get to be a part of, which is exciting stuff. But it's not going to be easy. But again, I like to turn to historical characters who did things that weren't easy for inspiration. And Joan of Arc is one of my favorites. So what's our revolution? Well, it's this P20 outcomes, trying to get there. And Achievement Complex is one of the levers that the state is using and that we get to use as a district to try to move us towards these outcomes. So what do these 5 things look like if we were to think of them not in terms of silos? Well, we want to get kids ready for school, and then when they first get here, they've got to get fluent in numeracy and literacy, math and reading. We've got to teach them how to think. Then, of course, we want to get them thinking about college and career and what they want to do, and then eventually engage in lifelong learning and success. And that's what we are. We are lifelong learners. And the more we engage in lifelong learning, the better off our kids will be. If we were to put grade levels by these things, we would see it like this: pre-K through 20, which is medical school or graduate school. And there are, with the ultimate goal of trying to achieve degrees, where we help kids get degrees, because it really is degrees that takes them to that next level. There's a lot of things that we can measure progress along the way. These are just a few key indicators that we know work. We know that each one of these things on this board has a direct correlation to degree achievement. For instance, exceeding reading at 3rd grade. If a student's able to exceed reading by 3rd grade, 90% chance that they'll be able to exceed that 11th grade test. If we can get them to exceed math by the 5th grade, they will have a great shot at algebra in 8th grade, which is a huge indicator of success in college. This last year, only 12% of our students exceeded math in the 5th grade. We have a long ways to go at that indicator. Only 19% exceeded reading. We've got a ways to go there too. Being proficient as a writer in 7th grade, massively important, because if they can write by 7, then that will help them to be successful in high school and in college. About 40% of our kids were writing proficiently last year in 7th grade. So each of these indicators are important, and of course work samples helps us to make inroads into all of them. If we were to add up the percentages of all those indicators right now, we would see us at about 40%, which is great because we're halfway there. And we can get to the other half just by continuously improving. And of course, choosing to care. Say that with me. Choose to care. Yes, feels good, doesn't it? So what's our one thing? If we were to identify one thing, right? I promised that that we'd let you in on the one thing. Well, this one thing, everyone in this room can influence it. It can be absolutely measured. None of us can control it. And we can all be a part of it. Our one thing is degree completion. Helping our kids get degrees. And what's great about this is not only can we influence it, but parents can influence it, and community members can influence it. Everyone can play a part in helping kids get degrees. At the end, yes, a student has to decide that they're going to do that, but in order to achieve that, they're going to need help along the way. So let's think of degree completion as 5 buckets. Because there's really only 5 choices that a student ends up when they're done with our educational system. And these are the choices. We have 375 students right now in our system with a 12 after their name. And so what that means is they're near the end. They're in their last year of their journey with us, or unless they're getting an expanded diploma or they need more time. But they're near the end. And which bucket are each one of those kids heading to? It's a great question. Are some of them making plans for a 4-year? Well, then they should be doing a certain number of things. A 2-year, what's that career? Hopefully no one ends up in the non-grad box. But each one of those students are heading in a direction. We've got a lot of our grade 12 kids right now that haven't passed the reading test or the writing test. They're going to need like hospital care in order to get yellow and above. It's going to take all of us thinking and working different to help them get there. But what's great about thinking in terms of degree completion is no matter who you are, where you work with kids, is you can help influence that. Because how a person thinks will turn out how they become. And if we can get kids thinking about 4-year and 2-year career options when they're younger, they're much more likely to reach it when they're older. Now the state, of course, has established this goal of 40-40-20 with that being the intent, but that's a minimum standard. Okay? We obviously want to do better than that, and I think we can. But it's going to take each of us doing our part, each of us stepping up and making a difference. Kind of like this guy. He's our last historical character we'll talk about today. And he's one you may not have heard of, Joshua Chamberlain. And these values, what I want you to do, if you're wearing a t-shirt for one of these values, I want you to stand up when we say it. I want all of us to say these together. You guys ready? Okay, here's the first one. Every child, every day. Every child, every day. All right. Find a way or make one. Stay standing. Go ahead and stay standing. Find a way or make one. Whatever it takes. All right, let's say it together. Whatever it takes. Do what is right. Every minute counts. Work hard. Be nice. A good one, isn't it? Love that one. Never give up. Provide hope. What I do matters. Choose to care. Okay, you can sit down now. All right, those are good stuff, you know? Those things matter. And, every year, we try to show appreciation as a district, and I know we don't do nearly enough. We bring you fruits and vegetables and everything. But this year, I thought, let's start early with that appreciation. And so what we're going to do today is, as soon as we're done here, you're going to go out those doors, and back there's going to be an order form. And we would like you to choose a core value that you want to try to work on this year. For yourself and for those you're around. What message do you want to give to those kids that you're working with? Or those parents? Or those fellow staff members? Okay? And so, and the first one's on us. If you want to get more, that's fine. But, we want to give you a shirt. All right? Okay, so